Hey, what's up guys? This is Church of Caboose, and for today's Destiny 2 video, we are going to be talking about my thoughts on sunsetting, and specifically the top 5 weapons I think I will miss the most come fall 2020 when sunsetting officially takes place and we no longer have the maximum ability for making every weapon we have at the maximum power. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. If you want to see more content by me, whether it's raid guides, opinions, which is happening more and more often due to how boring Season of the Worthy is, then make sure you guys subscribe to this channel so that way you can stay the most up to date, especially if you ring that bell, because YouTube is kind of weird. Before we get on into the video, I wanted to say thank you to everyone that's been working day and night to get the Lie Quest Seraph Tower community portion done. My impression is after we get all these Seraph Tower completions done, that everything will be based on an individual basis. But I wanted to give here a real quick shout out to, according to Charlemagne, the PlayStation 4 player Alice Nightwind has 1,061 completions, whereas the number 2 competitor on Xbox, I'm going to probably say this wrong, Mephistelius, I don't know, 737, just look at the screenshot, is in second place with 610 Charlemagne clears of the Seraph Tower event. You guys have both been busting your butts off, and especially hats off to you, Alice Nightwind. Thank you guys all so much. I have been spending quite a bit of time myself working on these Seraph Towers, but obviously nowhere near as much as those two people, and especially Alice Nightwind. So thank you all so much. And if you're within that segment of the community, it's like, I'm going to let everyone else do it, and that way I don't have to do something I don't like. Come on. Like, I'm not going to say screw you, because to some degree you shouldn't play stuff you don't want to play. However, it's also a looter shooter. To get some of the loot, you sometimes got to do stuff you don't want to do. And so letting everyone else do this stuff, because like, what are the odds this Alice Nightwind person is just like, I love Seraph Towers? Nah, but this person's probably just doing it because it helps out the community. And this individual apparently is better equipped and set up to crank out all these things faster than the rest of us can. Alright, so that concludes the introductory level of stuff. Let's kick off first. What are the 5 weapons I will miss the most with sunsetting? And then we're going to talk about sunsetting and my thoughts on that whole thing in general. So number 5, I'm going to miss Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten. The reason Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten is at number 5 is because I don't use them all the time right now. However, they are pinnacle weapons that took a lot of work, and so I have a lot of emotional investment with those weapons. Once they got nerfed and was reduced from a 180 RPM to a 150 RPM hand cannon, I didn't use them as much. They're not as prevalent throughout the Crucible. But I put tons of time into getting those puppies, and I still use them every now and then, and I really enjoy using those hand cannons. And since they are no longer going to be weapons that are completely maximum power level to the maximum power level, I will definitely miss being able to use these weapons. Number 4 is the Hammerhead Machine Gun, which comes from the Black Armory expansion. You can still get a quest with one of those ballistic log things that you get from doing certain 8-1 bounties, and this machine gun is very useful. The RPM type and the archetype of this machine gun makes it very popular for folks, especially in PvP, and I happen to have gotten a really good roll in one of my first couple of rolls back in Black Armory, so I've been using this machine gun off and on for basically the better part of a year, if not more. I happened to get one with Surrounded and Feeding Frenzy, so I put a Surrounded spec on that puppy, and it's pretty great. I really enjoy that weapon. It works fantastic and everything, especially if you're trying to do some end game content where maybe you want a lot of heavy ammo that a rocket can't provide due to having only 6 or 7 rounds, whereas a machine gun could have anywhere from 230 to 300, or if you go with the Heir Apparent, 520 rounds. So that's why the Hammerhead Machine Gun is my number 4 on my list of top 5 weapons that will be sunsetted come fall of 2020 with that expansion. Number 3 is going to be my Mindbender's Ambition shotgun. This shotgun is available from the Hallowed Lair Nightfall. You just have to grind out that Nightfall a whole bunch of times and hope you get a really good roll. Just last week, I'm recording on May 17th, so the week leading up to this weekly Tuesday reset, I managed to get myself both the curated role and the role I love so much, which is slide shot, accurized rounds, and quick draw on my Mindbender's ambition. So I was really disappointed to hear that Mindbender's is getting the whole sunsetting thing come the fall. Weapons like Mindbenders take a lot of time and effort to get that perfect roll, especially because they only come from Nightfalls, as opposed to just playing anything like a Dire Promise, for example, can drop from playing anything. Number 2 on my list is going to be Mountaintop. It used to be number 1, but Mountaintop is number 2 because while it's still great, once the Shadowkeep released, we no longer had Luna faction and Rally Barricades that did the whole auto reload thing, and the viability of Mountaintop kind of dropped a little bit. So I still use Mountaintop, and I oftentimes will have on my Void class armor with Dire Artillery equipped, so that way I get more super energy for Mountaintop kills, and it's a fantastic weapon when you're trying to do a combination of ad clearing and taking out those tanky bosses. For example, when I do the Seraph Tower clears, I oftentimes run Mountaintop, Recluse, and Anarchy because that's what seems to work very, very well for me. Which leads me into number 1, the most missed weapon I will have, and I think the community will miss for the whole sunsetting issue, will be Recluse. I remember helping so many people get Recluse. I still try to help people get Recluse. Recluse is something I almost always have on. I've got well over 31,000 kills tracked on my Recluse. I got Recluse early into, I think it was Forsaken, when Recluse was allowed to be collectible. And I almost never take it off. I mostly take Recluse off if I'm just tired of using Recluse. And I think a lot of folks will know Recluse has been a staple of raids, especially with the ability to put on barrier mods. Recluse is a good use for things like Master Nightfalls, not as much Grandmaster, but you can still use Recluse for anything with barrier champions, and a lot of people will be like, hey, put on that Recluse. That's probably the best option to go with for your energy slot when you're in PvE. And I believe the community is going to hurt a lot and miss their Recluse so much. And it's just going to be a sad day when Recluse can no longer be the highest power in possible within the whole community. Instead, it'll be whatever it will be at after the summer passes by, which I would imagine guesses will be 10:20 to 10:30, and then after that, it's just done. So, what do I think about sunsetting? Well, DMG tweeted not too long ago asking PvP folks what do they think about having all these different sunsetting, and he mentioned, hey, like for those of you that love your spare rations, Mindbenders, and Beloved, you will still have regular Crucible you can use those weapons in. You can use those weapons whenever you want. It just might not be the best idea to have those weapons equipped when you're doing something like Trials, Iron Banner, or maybe something like a Master Nightfall or a Grandmaster Nightfall. So those things with power enabling. And for the most part, I am completely on board, and this is the part that's a little controversial. I know lots of folks who are like, oh my gosh, I put so much time and effort into getting all of my loot, and now it's just going to be basically useless. I'm gonna delete and uninstall my game. Like people tweeted that, like, hey, I want to uninstall my game because I don't get to use my Mindbenders. I'm like, hey, hold on, folks. This is a looter shooter. Like the whole point of looter shooters is to go after new and better loot. So I completely understand the thought process behind, we have some weapons like Mindbenders that have been available since Forsaken, which came out fall of 2018, if memory serves me correctly. And a lot of folks, when they get a shotgun, they're like, whatever, my Mindbenders is still better. And I am in the same boat. I've gotten some pretty gnarly rolls of that 7th Seraph CCQ shotgun. And I've had ones drop with quick draw and snapshot sights. And I'm like, nah, I'd rather use my Mindbenders. So I totally get where they are coming from. However, there are some validations to what people are complaining about. When it comes to those pinnacle weapons such as Revoker, Wendigo, which by the way, if I was going to do a top 10 list, those weapons would be on my top 10 list. Not Forgotten, Luna's Howl, all those weapons took a good chunk of effort. Now, obviously, some folks are really good at PvP, so it takes them less effort, while other folks are really bad at PvP, so it takes them way more effort than perhaps the average Joe. But the point to focus on here is that things like Mountaintop, Recluse, Not Forgotten, Luna's Howl, Not Forgotten, by the way, is still really hard to acquire. Those things take tons of effort, and some folks, such as myself, got those weapons earned before those quests were nerfed, requiring less kills and having more forgiving score. So it's really annoying to have pinnacle weapons being sunsetted, because we put in all that time and effort. I am super emotionally attached to my Not Forgotten. I spent a couple of seasons trying to get to Legend before it finally happened. And granted, I haven't tried super hard since, but I have tried this season. I've been struggling to get past 4,500. That's the highest I've gotten so far this season. Which means that we got lots of people just like, oh no, they're taking away some of the guns that take a lot of time to earn. Mindbender's Ambition is another good example, because while it is RNG, you are trying to farm for that god roll, so you need like accurized rounds, slide shot, quick draw, range masterwork, all those things to line up in the exact same drop over multiple drops. Like my Mindbenders is almost a god roll. I just don't have a range masterwork. It's stability, which isn't terrible, but that's the only reason my Mindbenders isn't a god roll, and I have spent hours and hours, not dozens of hours, trying to get that god rolled Mindbenders. So I totally empathize with folks that are really bummed about losing all of that loot. The good news is you can still use it whenever you want. The bad news is you gotta figure out something else when it comes to doing the power-enabled activities. So really, overall, sunsetting is good for the game. Looter shooters, you need to be pursuing new loot. So it's kind of weird. We got this whole thing going on where it's like, I'll put on stuff that I've already got, or I'm going to use stuff that I got a while ago because it's way better. So I totally get where Bungie is coming from. What I would love Bungie to do is to make an exception. Currently, exotics are going to always be able to be at the max power, but legendaries will not. And my assumption is that means things like pinnacle weapons are not going to be able to be made at the max power. So I would like things that are from Nightfalls and those pinnacle weapons that are quest tied to be able to be at that max power. Now, it might keep some of the same metas, but I would argue Felwinter's Lie is going to make folks choose between a Mindbenders and Felwinter's Lie. Whereas right now, if Mindbenders wasn't available due to sunsetting, everyone's going to be using Felwinter's Lie. Like, no doubt. The only people that won't be using it, I would imagine, are going to be those folks that are really, really, really good at Crucible with sniper rifles. Everyone else is going to be like, yeah, Antaeus Wards and Felwinter's Lie, Gemini Jester and Felwinter's Lie, Well Warlock and Felwinter's Lie, and then do whatever Hank can they're going to do. I'm going to probably be doing a lot of Thorn. So if we keep things like all those pinnacle weapons and Mindbenders where Nightfall weapons carry over, we might not have as terrible of a meta. Because right now I foresee the meta being Felwinter's Lie or Beloved with or Summoner, because that can be an energy weapon. With the primary slot would be like Revoker. You got Thorn, Ace of Spades, and then Bygones could be one, but Bygones is also going to be sunsetted, so maybe Outbreak perfected. Alright guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you appreciate any of the comments and thoughts I had on sunsetting and my top 5 list, make sure you comment down below. Share with me maybe your top 5 list, because I'm sure I don't use all the same stuff that the rest of you guys do. If you want to chat more with me, make sure you hop in my Discord server, Church and Friends. But for now, I've been Church of Caboose. Have a great week and happy grinding, y'all.